Hello, this is Dana Arcuri, author, speaker, and wellness coach. And today I'd like to talk about a sensitive topic that really needs to be addressed in the benzodiazepine and Cymbalta community for those people who are either family members or friends of people struggling and tapering and withdrawing and trying to heal from the long-term effects of Cymbalta, benzodiazepine, as long as many other different psych drugs. And so someone had left a comment on one of my videos, and I'm pretty sure it was the Cymbalta nightmare video, in which they stated that they thought I had anger issues and that I needed to have more tranquility. And while I can review that video and see the anger that I was expressing through my emotions and through my words and just sharing the actual experience of what I went through, and even looking at the benzodiazepine introduction video, yes, I can say, yes, there probably is good chance I was dealing with anger during that video and trying to relive the experience so then the people who are viewing it can really tap into what was going on in my life, what was happening to me, such as a withdrawal, such as anxiety, depression, helplessness. And so nevertheless, anger is a normal emotion, and anger is actually a form of grief. And so when we really take a step back and we look at, okay, I was prescribed a medication by a doctor, and this medication is something that I didn't choose. It was something, not a street drug. It's not an addiction. It's something that a physician prescribed, and then you're taking it and you're following instructions. And so you're hoping that this will help you. And so for me, for example, I had fibromyalgia and severe insomnia and herniated discs. So there's a lot of physical chronic pain. And nevertheless, I was hoping these medications would help me get through life and survive and basically manage the symptoms. However, instead of helping me, they harmed me. And while this may not be your experience, I believe there are thousands upon thousands of individuals who have shared with me on the different drug communities and Facebook pages and support groups that they have also experienced extreme, severe, horrific experiences that have basically stolen their life. And there's so many different negative experiences and symptoms, and we're not going to talk about that today. Instead, let's really focus on anger. Let's really focus on what it's all about, and do we have great cause for this? Is this something that's okay, or is this not okay? And so I am speaking from my experience, but as well as just communicating and talking to all these people on the support groups. And so I'm 5 years and 6 months free of both the benzodiazepine, and for me it was Ativan, and also over 5.5 years free of Cymbalta, as well as other drugs such as Adderall and Prozac, and the list is long. But the primary drugs I really talk about, because I did have just horrific nightmare experiences and withdrawals, just a long recovery, was the Ativan and Cymbalta. So nevertheless, it was when I reviewed my videos that I could see this anger. And then when this person, pretty much said, hey, you seemed angry. And then I take a look at it and I think about it. And as I'm processing this information, I strongly believe that those who are going through these horrific, exhaustive, long recovery, and you know who you are, you know what you're going through. And I just want to say right now, let's validate those who are suffering. Let's validate that this anger is a common experience and emotion, and let's not point fingers at people and make them feel guilty or ashamed for being angry. That angry maybe that they lost their life, angry that they lost their job, angry that they lost their mind, their cognitive function, their ability to think, their independence, their ability to work outside the home and earn a viable income. Maybe they lost their children. Maybe they lost their home, their marriage. God only knows what they lost, but we all know that when you go through this horrible experience, there is great, great grief and loss. And so I wanted to go through when you are dealing with this, okay, and you are grieving. Grief is real, people, okay? We're not ashamed to grieve because guess what? We're human. And when humans have a loss, even the loss of your health, it is a form of grief. And so there are 5 stages of grief. So real quick, number 1, denial and isolation. Isolation was a big one for me, in which I did not want to be around anyone because I was feeling so horrible that I needed to be alone. Have you felt that? If so, understand it is a form of grief. It's normal. Next, anger. You have this intense emotion erupting inside of you. And yes, you want to lash out. You might be mad at your doctor. How dare you prescribe me this drug that stole my life, that stole my mind, that stole my body, that stole how many years of joy? And nevertheless, there could be anger, and it could just like kind of bounce back and forth, then anger at yourself. Oh my God, why did I do this to myself? Why didn't I research it? Why didn't I look into it further? Why didn't I question my doctor? Why didn't I question my psychiatrist? Why didn't I really get more involved in my care? But you know what? It's past us. It's past us. And so don't condemn yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Don't constantly second guess yourself, because the past is the past, and it's okay to be angry. It's okay. It's part of grief. Next, number 3 is bargaining. Maybe you're feeling helpless and you just want to like bargain with God, or bargain with life or whatever. Bargaining's a part of grief. Next is depression, and boy, oh boy, we know about depression. Let that just speak for itself. I don't really need to get into that topic. We know how it is troublesome. It sucks the life out of us, and it brings us to quite a dark place. And lastly is acceptance. Acceptance of, this is what I'm going through. This is legitimate. That my anger is legitimate. I have a right to be angry because I have a loss, because I'm sad, because I'm tormented. It's okay. And so when I looked up grief, it started going into, people always think of it as death, but there's so much more about grief. And a lot of it is to do with losing something special, losing something valuable. And you know what? Our health is valuable. Our health matters. You matter, and I matter, and our families matter, and our purpose in life matters. And so another word for grief, when you look it up in the dictionary, is torment, affliction, anguish, suffering, pain, and loss. So once again, understand what you're going through. Don't let anyone make you feel bad about it. Okay, so for anyone who says, wow, you're really angry. Yes, I am angry. And you know what? I'm working through, I'm processing my grief. And the thing about grief is this: we don't have a timeline. We can't say in 5 months I'll recover from grief, or I'll give myself 1 year and then I'm done grieving. Just like when we lose a loved one. We can't say when our grief will begin, how we're going to work through the five stages of grief, or when it will actually come to a completion. And the one thing I have to say for my own self, I was so caught up in the emotions, because when you're like withdrawing and you're having panic attacks and you can't sleep at night and your body hurts all over and you have fibromyalgia and herniated discs on top of it, all these conflicting things going on. And you're feeling pretty darn alone because your doctor is baffled. He doesn't understand what's going on with you. He's telling you, no, that can't be happening. But it is happening. But you are in hell. You're on hell on earth. And you're filled with anger and every emotion that any human being could ever experience. And so the thing with this is that you can't let others tell you you don't feel what you feel. So let's validate. Yes, you feel it. Yes, it is real. And yes, it is grief. Allow yourself to process it. And for me, I didn't process it right away. I mean, I look back now at even a year ago when I was 4 years into this recovery, I was still dealing with unresolved grief. I didn't even know it was grief. And so if that's you today, help yourself heal. Help yourself in this recovery process, whether in the beginning, the middle, or the end, whatever drug it may be. And I know there's plenty of drugs out there that cause these issues. So whatever it may be, give yourself a gentle pat on the back that you are doing the best that you could humanly possibly do, that you are not super God, super dad, super mom, super anything. You know, you're a human being, and grief is just a position in life that may not feel pleasant, that may hurt in the process of it all. But through it, you will move to acceptance. You will get to a point, such as where I am now, where I look at this as a lesson. This is a lesson in life. I look back on this, and there's so many blessings that came from this negative experience. And the one is, I became a first-time author through this experience. And my first book is Harvest of Hope, Living Victoriously Through Adversity, in which I share this rock bottom story. And then since then, I've written 2 other books, and my life has really flourished. I'm thriving now. I'm a survivor. And you can be a survivor too. Just help yourself to heal. Allow yourself to feel the anger. Allow yourself to process this. Validate it's real. Go through it. And keep moving and knowing and hoping for a brighter tomorrow. And so if you'd like to connect with me, go to DanaArcuri.com. If you'd like to check out my books, go to Amazon.com, click in Dana Arcuri. And I just pray for your recovery and your healing, and that you are on a journey. It takes time, and for everyone it may be a different length of time, but you will get there, and you will eventually be brought to acceptance. Thanks, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.